Hello everyone, welcome back to Gent Watches, and today we are going to be continuing with Death Note. I am so excited. I wasn't actually planning to do this video today, but I am in the mood for Death Note, and I had a spot in my schedule that I was like, oh, that could have a video, it could not. But I'm deciding to put a video out today purely because I want to, purely because I really want to watch more Death Note. So that is a testament to the quality of this show. If the show was just like okay at this point, then I probably would have been like, yeah, I'll wait and I'll watch it later. But no, I do genuinely want to keep watching this show, so I am excited to get into episode 3 of Death Note. Last time we were introduced to L, and L is awesome. I love him so far, and so the Battle of Wits has properly begun now. I don't know what they're gonna do for 37 episodes. I mean, okay, I'm always trying to tell you when I'm pretty sure I know stuff about the show just from exposure to it. So in Bakuman, which is the manga from the same writers as this, that actually sort of go over their experience in the manga industry, there's a bit where it seems to imply that they wanted to end Death Note after a certain time, I assume about halfway through the series or something, and they weren't allowed to. So because what Bakuman is, I dropped my notebook, that's why I went down. Because what Bakuman is sort of like, oh, this is, you know, how a manga career plays out, but this is also sort of how we wanted the end, like how we wanted to act in this time. So from what I'm assuming that Death Note, like at a certain point, because I've heard that like the end of Death Note isn't nearly as good as the start of Death Note, right? I'm not gonna let that taint my view of the later episodes too much. I'm still gonna watch it with the same enthusiasm. But yeah, I think the thing was, like, there was a point where they wanted to stop, but they weren't allowed to, basically, and they had to keep going. And so I think that's the case for this show. So I don't know what that means for the story, because that all I know basically is what people have said about the quality of the show and what Bakuman implied about their previous manga. It never outright said like, we wish Death Note did blah blah blah, but there was a series that the characters in the manga wrote that was pretty similar to Death Note, and so it was, I think the point was, I dropped my notebook again. I think that might be a sign from God that I need to stop talking about this and I just need to watch the damn show. So, because like maybe this notebook that I'm using is a Death Note itself. So let's just get into episode 3 of the Death Note, not the Death Note, episode 3 of Death Note. So here we go, let's do it. I feel like this is constantly a pretty aggressive opening to just start with. Like, I feel like they should have what's it called? A cold open. That's the word I'm looking for. I feel like they should have a cold open and then go into the intro, because clicking play and then immediately going, I'm like, whoa.
Greetings to all of you.
There's some weird editing things. I don't know if it's only on the Netflix copy, but before and after OPs and stuff, there's sometimes like a gap where it's waiting to start, you know. This is interesting for the recap part to have. They had split screen even in bits where there wasn't split screen. That's kind of cool.
There are 14 people who claim to either know Kira or who have seen him.
Really?
All 14 accounts were followed up on and carefully documented. However, nobody could provide any information that wasn't already publicly available. This week, there were an additional 21 people who called in claiming to be. So we followed standard procedure and created files for all
that's what you gotta do.
of them.
We found that all of them occurred between the hours of 4 p.m. and 2 a.m. on weekdays, while the time
school.
with 68% of them occurring between 8 p.m. and 12 a.m. Weekends and holidays appear to be the exception.
So he goes to school.
As the times of death vary much more widely than during the week.
Our suspect could very well be a student.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly possible he may even aspire to be some sort of godlike figure.
That's exactly
Within an
it.
Individual, I believe that is the shortest route to finding and arresting Kira. Please continue with your report.
Oh, right.
Very, very cool.
anyone
They've already
else have
figured out
something
it's a
like that?
student in the Kanto area of Japan.
What is it, Matsuda?
So good.
In the last few days throughout the world, but especially here
Crime
in
has gone
Japan,
down.
we've observed a dramatic decrease in the number of violent crimes committed.
In particular, I want to know if photos of the victims were made available to the public.
Ah, my God. Whoa, he's making so much progress
Chief.
in such little time. L is so cool.
Looks like you could use one of these. Sleeping much?
And I totally
Thank you.
believe it
That'll
as
do the
well.
trick.
Well, now that I think about it, I'm sure everyone already knew that. I wanted to apologize.
What
Aw,
on earth are you talking about?
This guy's sweet.
Nobody said it would be easy to speak the truth, but it has to be done, especially when it's something that isn't easy to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd gone on to say that we should commend Kira for doing such a great job of reducing violent crime, then yes, I might have a little problem with that.
So, do you think you're ready to try a few on your own now?
Huh? Yeah, I guess so.
Good, I've got killing to do, so get out.
Oh, welcome home, dear.
Thank you.
He's home really early today.
Hey! Why
Wait.
don't you at least try the last problem by yourself?
Was that
I will, but maybe after.
was that the
dinner.
police
right.
dude?
You hungry, Dad?
Yeah. it's been a long
What?
day.
Oh no! I didn't know this. Well, I'm glad that most of the series hasn't been spoiled for
Tell
me
me how are your
because
studies going?
I
Everything's
can't believe I haven't heard
Whatever.
that.
He's at the top of his class.
I see. Well, Daddy's a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
And that must
The
be
policeman
reason why
in
you're so
charge
confident.
of
That's
the
right.
Kira
It's
case.
easy for me to hack into Dad's computer. If the cause of death is not specified, the person will simply die of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm. What are you
After writing
thinking?
the cause of... In other words, if I write heart attack as the cause of death, then I should be able to write down all the details, including time of death afterwards, shouldn't I?
Oh.
Looks like I'll be able to provide you with more entertainment now.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I think now Elle's gonna notice that the pattern changed, which will imply that he has access to the police's information, you know? Oh, this reminds me of a scene in Breaking Bad. A certain scene in the final season of Breaking Bad. That was a nice cut. The match cut of him opening the bag and the buttons smashing open.
But he can also determine the time of death.
Ah.
But something's not right. As soon as we began to suspect that Kira might be a student,
Yes.
the pacing of the killings changed.
Yes.
As if to contradict that theory.
Uh-huh.
Coincidence? Kira has access to police information.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it. I knew we'd find
This
that
is a
out.
direct challenge to me.
Showing them you have connections to the police makes it easier for them to find you
Yeah.
than when they just suspected you were a student.
Well, my real agenda is to get close to L so I can eliminate him.
How are you gonna
Oh
do
my
that?
god.
What's especially important is that L and the investigators don't trust each other at all.
Okay.
Think about it. Could you trust someone whose name and face you don't even know?
Yeah.
When that happens, it'll only be a matter of time before the police start resenting L.
Ooh.
L will investigate the police, and they will be investigating L. I'm not the one who's going to find L. I can let the police do that for me.
That
and
is
when they do,
so
that's when I'll
smart.
eliminate him.
That is so smart. That is a great idea. Wow. And it makes so much sense.
We demand that you assign us to a different case. Otherwise, you can have our badges right here and now.
Well, if I were Kira, sir, I'd probably want to try and get rid of the people who were trying to catch me.
That's
Let's face it,
that's
he knows he'll be
true.
sentenced to death if he's caught.
We all sat here and
I mean,
watched
he
when
probably
Bill decided
won't,
to
but
pull
I
that
can see why
meaningless
they'd think
stunt and
that.
challenge Kira to kill him. Unlike someone we know, we're out there investigating this case wearing police IDs with our names and photos on them. For these reasons, we refuse to continue working this case. Excuse us, Chief.
Wow.
Hey!
That
stop!
makes
All
perfect
of you!
sense.
Hold it right there!
You can't blame him.
I am sure that somewhere in this list of police officers and the people closest to them, we will find our suspect.
Okay. He's got a suspect list.
Light, you got a second?
I already told
And I mean, if you cross-check that with people in school, like students, if he's going with that, then...
You just listen. But make no mistake, Light, I'm not on your side or
That's me.
you're being followed by another human. He's watching you right now.
Ah. Is that Watari? Just looks like a, you know, black trench coat and stuff.
Awesome.
How far can Ryuk go? Can he go back and look at who it is?
Above all, I need my stalker's name.
I feel like they could probably get it down to like 150 suspects.
What makes a Shinigami and a human who has a death note different? It's because we are able to take human lifespans for ourselves.
Huh?
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Let's say you have a human who is due to live until the age of 60, and a god of death wrote that this person would die at 40.
They'd get 20 years.
40 equals 20. That is the first difference between gods of death and humans who possess a death note.
Okay.
Shinigami can tell what a person's name is by just looking at their face. We know instantly.
Really?
Not only that, we see their lifespan as well.
Oh.
Name and lifespan?
What are those
If I
numbers?
converted that to human time, I could tell you how many years you've got left.
Oh, so he
But
knows.
I'd never tell you that.
He knows when
I
life's
may
gonna
have a big
die.
mouth, but even I wouldn't go that far. Our eyes just aren't the same, and that is the difference between you and I.
Interesting.
If a Shinigami drops his death note and a human picks it up, he can grant that human the eyes of a Shinigami.
Huh?
But only if a deal is made, one that's been with us since ancient times.
What kind of deal?
The price for having a Shinigami's eyes is half of that person's remaining lifespan. That's all it is.
Oh my god.
My remaining lifespan.
Oh.
In other words,
That's quite the
you were supposed to
deal.
live another 50.
You wouldn't just give me the names of people I'm going to kill.
Yeah.
Basically, you're saying that I can't simply borrow your powers. I'd have to pay for them.
It's a key part of the code that all
He doesn't have to do it now though, but when he needs it. And the longer you wait,
I'll be able to know everyone's name just by
the
looking.
less time you're giving him.
What'll it be, Light?
Don't do it
Is
now.
it a deal?
No, not now. You want to wait on that. Oh, that was such an interesting episode. We got so many answers and like answers to questions I didn't have. But wow. Okay. So, I mean, okay, let's talk about, first of all, he can write down the times of death. I was sort of wondering if he could do that, but I guess I assumed that he couldn't. I assumed that was the point of the oh, you have to do this in 40 seconds or whatever. But no. You can just write the time of death. If he had done that from the start, then they wouldn't have narrowed it down to a student. Of course, like a lot of the mistakes that he makes can be taken as he wants people to know that there's someone out there doing this. He wants to be famous, but he doesn't want to be caught. So he needs to ride that perfect line between being famous and being caught for what he's doing. And he wants to basically have the Batman effect. Like, you know, when in all of the good Batman stories, when Batman's in full effect, the criminals of the city are terrified of him and crime goes down because no one dares to, like, everyone is looking over their shoulder. If you watch the opening scene of the Batman movie, that opening scene is all about like the criminals just looking over their shoulder, and like there's a bunch of criminals and none of them know which one of them the Batman's gonna come for, so they're all like freaking out. And so that's the idea that Light is going for here. He's you know, basically up against these guys, and he is trying to make himself well known enough that anyone before they commit a crime, they're like, but there's a chance that after I commit this crime, I'm going to have a heart attack because Kira is going to find out about it. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I am kind of surprised that Kira is going for, like, because the default is heart attack, so that's why he's stuck with heart attack. I feel like if I was Kira, if I was Light, you'd want to make your MO more distinctive than that, I would think. And possibly if he sees himself as the paragon of justice, perhaps more painful than that, so that people are even more terrified. Like, I don't want, you know, like if you, I don't even want to think about it, but if you had the cause of death be like, you know, all of their bones sporadically break and then they bleed out slowly, like that would be horrible. Or if it's just like they, you know, spontaneous combustion and they burn to death or something, you know, like like a heart attack. I guess I don't know how painful heart attacks are, but I just imagine it's one of the lesser ones. It's probably scary, but it's probably not as painful as these other ones. But you know, I don't know. I feel like the more complex, if you get into spontaneous combustion or something, or breaking all your bones or whatever, you'd have to write out this big long thing every time. His arm would probably get tired. I think he probably just wants to do it quickly, you know, be able to put as many names down as he can. Okay. So, they figured out the school times thing, and then immediately he tried to change his tactics. So, if there's 141 officers who have the connections, let's say all of them know one, like on average, all of them are close to one high school student. Like, you know, some of them might have like 2 kids or whatever, and some of them will have none. So I think averaging it out on one would make sense. So that would narrow it down to 141 suspects. And obviously they have to be in the Kanto region of Japan, but I'm assuming that they all would be, since these are the police department of Japan. But like, if you have, I mean, if L has this 141 list of names or whatever, then that's already a great start. And then if you take into account the fact that this is so well planned out that whoever it is must be over a certain intelligence level, must have a certain level of intelligence, you might be able to cut out, I mean, like, this isn't a great way to solve the case, but if you're just looking for more suspects, or like more a clearer picture of who the suspect could be, you just drop out the bottom half of that list in grades, like the people who are on the bottom half of the grades list. You can knock it down to 70 suspects, you know. So I feel like there's definitely some ways that you can really narrow that list down more and more, but I'm impressed that he's already down to that level. I liked Matsuda, which is one of the police guy, like the young police guy who basically spoke up and then apologized for it later. I only know his name's Matsuda because of the subtitles, so maybe I'm not supposed to know that name. It is kind of annoying how the subtitles say the names, and I can't turn that off, but you know, that's just how it is. And I mean, I don't think that the name Matsuda is a spoiler. But yeah, he seemed like a cool guy, a nice guy, and I hope we see more of him, because yeah, I would love if he was the one to, you know, take down Light in the end, possibly, but I don't know. You know, just out of the people I know right now, it seems like he seemed like a genuinely good guy, in the fact that he was a sort of middle ground where he was like, look, I don't condone what he's doing, but we have to face the fact that it's, you know, that it is working. So like, I think what's hard is, like, he really isn't saying like, yeah, let's give him a round of applause, or that what he's doing is right, or that we should continue with what he's doing, but we should all face the fact that this is how our justice system is that, like, it's not working effectively until we do until someone does something drastic like this. So maybe that's something to think about in the future, even if you don't, you know, make any decisions based on it. At least have that in our minds while discussing it. I like the idea of turning L versus police. That was very clever. But mostly I want to talk about, before I end this video, the Shinigami lifespan thing. So they take people's lifespans when they write them in their death note. So that makes sense why they would continue to do that, for the most part. I mean, that's assuming Shinigami want to live, but Ryuk did say that it's pretty boring in the Shinigami realm. Like, they just gamble and nap. So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it feels like they should have more than that, you know. They should get more joy out of everything than that, but who knows. But so it's very interesting. So he can make a deal for half his remaining lifespan to get the powers of the Shinigami. I'm assuming he doesn't have to make it now. If he has to make it now, then no, don't take it. Of course, I'm not Light, but if I were Light, here is what I would think. I would think, look, if I had, let's say, a year left to live, okay? That's just thinking the fact that I'm doing all this dangerous stuff. perhaps I have a year left to live. So let's say that I have a year left to live. If I do it now, I'm giving it 6 months. I'm giving myself 6 months to live. And I might not even use the power that much right now because I'm sitting in my room all the time. So instead, what if I was to wait for 11 months? And then with that 1 month left, I would then go, okay, now I'll take the Shinigami power. So instead I have 15 days left. And in those 15 days, all that stuff that I need to do just by looking at people, or the like names that I want to get just by looking at the person, that's when I'm going to do that. That's when I'm going to actually go out and look at people and get their names. So I think that is extraordinarily interesting. Does the lifespan above their head take into account the fact that they're going to be killed by a Death Note? You know, like if Light went to a prison and looked at all of these criminals, would he just see like 2 days above each one of their heads because he in 2 days he's going to write their name in the Death Note? Or does he see what their lifespan would be without the Death Note coming into play? So it's like he'll see, you know, 10 years, 5 years, like 50 years, blah blah blah. But then he kills them with the Death Note, so the lifespan doesn't matter anymore. I guess it's the latter, because the whole point is the Death Note. If a Shinigami writes their name in the Death Note, they get their remaining lifespan. So if their remaining lifespan was 0 every time, then that wouldn't make sense. So yeah, I guess you see their lifespan if the Death Note doesn't come into play. That's very interesting, because that takes into account the fact that they could be murdered. They could be crushed by a piano, you know? They could die from natural causes. Who knows? But so yeah. Anyway, very cool. Great episode. I enjoyed that so much. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining me for another episode of Death Note. I'm very much enjoying the show, and I'm enjoying your comments as well, so please keep leaving them. I want to keep reading your comments. And it's a show that has so much thought-provoking stuff in it that it's very interesting. Of course, when you're leaving a comment, please don't leave any spoilers or hints or answer any questions about the show that I was giving rhetorically. I don't need answers to the questions that I'm asking. I'm just asking them so you know what my thought process is. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. All those things really help me. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.